All right, let's dive right in. Today we're cracking the code on a skill that's absolutely critical in performance management: sales variance analysis. This isn't just about crunching numbers. It's about becoming a storyteller, telling the real story behind why you either hit, missed, or totally crushed your sales targets.
So, let's set the scene. The month-end reports just landed, and oops, you've missed your sales budget. Your boss walks over, and they want answers, not excuses. It is time to put on your detective hat. Think of this as your official guide to investigating all the clues hidden inside your sales data.
Okay, first things first. Our investigation always starts with clue number 1, the total sales variance. And the formula? Well, it's about as straightforward as it gets. Just your actual sales minus your budgeted sales. This number is our starting point. It tells us that there's a problem and how big it is, but it doesn't tell us why. For that, we've got to dig a whole lot deeper. And that brings us to the first fork in the road of our investigation. To really get to the why behind that total variance, we have to split it apart into its two main drivers: the price we charged for our stuff and the volume of stuff we actually sold.
So to crack this case, we have to answer two really basic questions. First up, did we sell our products at a different price than we planned to? That's what the sales price variance will tell us. And the second piece of the puzzle, did we sell a different number of units than we put in the budget? That's the sales volume variance. It's one or the other, or maybe both.
Let's zero in on the price part. Now, the logic behind this formula is really clever. You take the actual quantity you sold and multiply it by the difference between the actual price you charged and the standard price you planned on. See what it does? By using the actual quantity sold, we perfectly isolate the effect of the price change. It's like a laser beam showing us only the impact of our pricing decisions.
Let's make this real. Meet our case study company, Gadget Go. Mid-quarter, they kind of panicked and threw a 10% off sale on their flagship product. So their actual selling price was lower than their standard budgeted price. The result? A negative, or what we call an adverse, sales price variance. That price cut directly hurt their revenue on every single unit they sold.
Now for the other side of the coin, volume. The sales volume variance formula flips the script. Here, we take the standard price, the one from our budget, and multiply it by the difference between how many units we actually sold and how many we plan to sell. By holding the price steady at the standard level, we isolate the pure financial hit or gain from selling more or fewer units.
And for Gadget Go, well, here's where the plot thickens. Even with that 10% price cut, their overall sales volume was still below budget. So that discount didn't spark enough extra sales to make up the difference. Now we've got two adverse variances: a price problem and a volume problem. This case is getting more interesting. So now we know it's not just one thing, but we can go deeper. That volume piece of the puzzle, we can break it down even further. So the next question is, did we just sell fewer products overall, or did we sell the wrong combination of products? This is what we call the mix and quantity puzzle. Okay, quick pause. Before we get into the next formulas, we have to decode some exam keywords. You'll see AQ for actual quantity, and BQ for budgeted quantity. That's easy enough. But the real star of the show here is RAQ, revised actual sales quantity. Just think of it as a what-if number. It asks, what if we had sold our total actual number of units, but in the exact same proportions as we had originally budgeted? This little number is the key that unlocks the whole next level of our investigation.
And this slide lays it out perfectly. Our total sales volume variance now splits into two new clues. On one hand, we have the sales mix variance. This tells us if our sales shifted towards our more profitable products, or, our less profitable ones. And on the other hand, we have the sales quantity variance. This asks, did we sell enough stuff in total, assuming our product mix had stayed exactly how we planned it?
So how does the sales mix variance work? Simple. You take the standard price and multiply it by the difference between the actual quantity of a product sold and that special what-if revised actual quantity. A negative result here, an adverse variance, is a huge red flag. It's telling you that your sales mix shifted the wrong way. You probably sold more of your cheap stuff and way less of your high-margin hero products than you wanted to.
And back at Gadget Go headquarters, their mix variance was a disaster. Turns out that 10% discount on the fancy high-profit premium phone was a flop. But they did end up selling a ton more of their cheap, low-margin standard phones. So even though they sold phones, they sold the wrong combination, and that absolutely hammered their overall profitability.
And that leads us to its partner,
the sales quantity variance. The formula here compares our what-if revised actual quantity to our original budgeted quantity and multiplies the difference by the standard price. And because both of those quantities are calculated using the standard mix, this beautifully isolates the impact of just the total number of units sold. It helps us see if the whole market is maybe changing.
And this is where our investigation goes from being purely operational to truly strategic. We can take that sales quantity variance and break it down one last final time. We're about to find out if our poor performance was because the entire market got smaller or if we just plain lost ground to our competitors.
And look at that. This slide shows the final, beautiful connection. The sales quantity variance is perfectly explained by adding two things together, the market size variance and the market share variance. This is the deepest level of our investigation. We're moving beyond our own internal numbers and looking at our strategic position in the entire marketplace.
Let's look at that first piece, the market size variance. What this formula does is figure out the difference between the actual and budgeted total market size in units. Then it multiplies that by our budgeted market share and our average budgeted price. In simple terms, it tells us how much of our sales variance happened just because the entire economic pie got bigger or smaller, something totally outside of our control.
For Gadget Go, this next clue is a bombshell. The report comes in, the total smartphone market actually grew by 5% that quarter. This is a favorable variance. So wait a minute, the market wasn't the problem. If the whole pie grew, but our sales quantity was down, then the problem has to be our slice of that pie.
And that leads us to our final piece of evidence, the market share variance. The formula here isolates the financial impact of us gaining or losing ground against our direct competitors. It takes the actual market size, multiplies it by the change in our market share percentage, and then by the average price. This tells us, black and white, did we win or lose against the competition?
And there it is, the smoking gun. Case closed. We find out a major competitor launched a flashy new model right in the middle of the quarter, and Gadget Go's market share? It plummeted from a planned 15% all the way down to 10%. That was the root cause of the quantity problem, which their panicked price cut completely failed to fix. Now, the entire story is crystal clear.
So, we did it. We went from one single confusing number to a complete strategic story. Now, to make sure this all sticks, let's do a quick high-energy recap of the complete formula toolkit you just mastered.
You ready? It's time for the formula flash. Step 1. Always start with the total sales variance. Step 2. Break that down into price and volume variances. Step 3. Then you split that volume variance into mix and quantity. And finally, Step 4. Break the quantity variance down into market size and market share. And that's it. That is your complete investigative toolkit. Look, at the end of the day, remember this. Variance analysis is not just a calculation you do for an exam. It's a diagnostic tool that tells a powerful story. It turns you from a number cruncher into a genuine business detective. So, the only question left is, what story are your numbers just waiting to tell you?